I completely understand that the term new release here is not entirely applicable, as Scream 6 has been out for a month-ish, but I still follow the rules laid out to me by my parents who owned a Blockbuster, meaning this shit will be a new release for the next 3 months at least. I'm not gonna lie, I did not have high hopes for this movie. Scream 5 was a bit of good fun and definitely a markable improvement from Scream 4, moving away from the whole everyone in my family is dead or gone and I spend all my time with my 5 unlikable friends from high school, and honing in on a really strong sisterly bond between our 2 main characters that feels fairly genuine of a trauma-impacted relationship. But it wasn't necessarily a masterpiece, and in my experience, horror sequels rarely improve on their source material, and the fact that it was greenlit only 3 weeks after Scream 5 came out didn't exactly instill me with confidence on the crew's fatigue levels. But I am very happy to be proven wrong in this instance. Scream 6 is by far one of the best installments we've seen in the franchise, second only, in my humble opinion, to the original. The main thing that really helps the film transcend its now middle-aged franchise is knowing when to stay true to the strict rules of the Scream universe and when to mix it up, causing for some genuinely refreshing sequences in a film series that has too many rules to still be fun. With returning characters we love, a couple of legacy peeps still kicking, and a breakneck pace that leaves you on the edge of your seat, let's dive in to Scream 6. Spoilers ahead, everybody. Spoilers. Scream 6 opens a year after the latest Woodsboro killings, and oh boy, are we in for a doozy of a cold open. My absolute Scream fucking queen and fellow Australian Samara Weaving comes in clutch for us here. If you don't know her, you need to watch more horror movies because she's been everywhere in the past couple of years. Probably her highlights would be 2017's The Babysitter and 2019's Ready or Not. Little known fact about Samara is that she's the niece of famed Aussie actor Hugo Weaving from some of the biggest franchises in the world, including Lord of the Rings and The Matrix. She's gonna be a star, kids, believe me. Definitely one of my favorite currently killing it Nepo babies. So, Samara plays Blackmore University professor Laura Crane, who we open the film with waiting for a blind date at one of those real fancy bars in the city that makes you cry the next morning when you see your bank account balance. Her blind date calls her, and the obligatory fourth wall breaking chat about horror movies occurs, as Laura is a film professor who's currently teaching her class about classic slasher films. The writing's on the wall here, kids. It's not looking good. All appears to be going well, except for the fact that her blind date can't find the bar. Laura moves to stand outside the bar as she's wearing a borderline neon yellow dress, which should definitely be easy to find when her blind date states he'll cut through the alley in front of the restaurant. Laura, not being able to see him, runs into the alley after hearing him over the phone being attacked by someone. Unfortunately, this is going exactly where you think it's going, and Ghostface jumps out of a corner and stabs her multiple times. But here comes the shocker. The ghost-faced killer immediately takes his mask off and reveals himself to be Jason Carvey, a classmate of Tara's at her uni. Jason goes home to a killing well done, bumping into Tara on his way back to his dorm and referencing a house party they'd both be attending later that night after he goes to pick up his roommate. As Jason gets home, he receives a call from what he believes to be his roommate Greg, and we quickly find out that these two idiots plan on trying to finish the film that the previous film's Ghostface killers Richie and Amber started by trying to kill Tara and Sam. As the call goes on, however, it quickly becomes apparent that the person on the other side of the line is not Greg. And after playing a fun game of hot and cold and finding Greg's chopped up body in their fridge, Jason is stabbed multiple times by a separate Ghostface. This is one of those refreshing mix-up I referenced earlier. These cold opens are an absolute staple to the Scream franchise, and although they've definitely run their course throughout the previous films, having a twist of a dual Ghostface plot is absolutely something I did not see coming. On to the main story. Sam and Tara have moved to New York, where Tara is attending Blackmore College, as we saw by her earlier interaction with Jason. They've moved with fellow survivors and siblings Chad and Mindy Meeks Martin, both of which are played by actors I love, but I have to give a special shout out to my girl Jasmine Savoy Brown for currently starring in my fave creepy mystery show that's on air, Yellow Jackets. Big recommend here, kids. Cults, wilderness survivors, it's amazing. Also part of our friendship crew, or fresh meat as I like to call them, is Sam and Tara's self-proclaimed sex-positive roommate Quinn, Mindy's girlfriend Annika, and Chad's roommate Ethan. We see that whilst Tara is trying to move on from what happened, Sam is being constantly blocked from being able to do this and shamed publicly due to a viral conspiracy theory that accuses her of framing her ex-boyfriend Richie for the Woodsboro murders and hiding that she was actually the killer. Sam attends a session with the world's shittest therapist, Dr. Stone, to try and work through all of this, as well as her conflicted emotions she has towards her father and her own fears that she'll follow in his footsteps and turn into a heartless murderer. When she lays it all out for him, he instantly loses his shit and practically threatens that he's going to report her to the police, leaving Sam to continue onwards alone with her deep trauma and a newfound distrust of the mental health system. It's fucking triggering. I don't even know what I would do. We see that Sam is overly protective of Tara now as a result of her PTSD, tasering a guy that tries to sleep with Tara, albeit he seems to have some real red flags, but Tara's in a bit of a self-destructive phase herself, you know, they're dealing with their traumas in different ways. After having a fight on the way home from the party, Sam is confronted by one of the conspiracy nuts, leading to her having an angry outburst that is, of course, caught on camera and adds fuel to the fire. After they get home and see the news of Jason and Greg's murders, Sam tries to leave the city with Tara, but is called into the station by Quinn's cop dad, Detective Wayne Bailey, played by the always kind of hot Dermot Mulroney, who I've most recently seen in Insidious Chapter 3 and the short-lived Purge TV show. Through him, we find out that Sam's ID was found planted at the crime scene along with the Ghostface mask that was used in the previous year's killings. On the way to the station, Sam receives a call by Ghostface from Richie's phone. Ghostface appears, attacking Tara, who defends herself quickly and effectively, further proving that Sam doesn't need to be overprotective of her and she can look after herself. Being pursued by Ghostface, they run into a convenience store and we enter one of the sickest action scenes in the Scream franchise. Ghostface pursues them and gives zero fucks, instantly stabbing a guy who tries to get in his way and using the owner's shotgun against him and multiple other people in the store. Let me tell you, I was practically vibrating when Ghostface picked up that fucking gun. Another rule in the Scream franchise broken, and my god, did this scene really let us know that this was a whole new Ghostface we were dealing with. Ghostface on steroids, I would say. The sisters manage to escape out of the store just as the police show up, but Ghostface has already run out the back door and left another old Ghostface mask used in the 2011 Woodsboro murders. Should we play a drinking game? Every time I say Ghostface, y'all can take a shot. I won't, because I'll be a mess by the end. At the station, we have the return of Hayden Panettiere, both in the franchise as Kirby Reed, who we left on a cliffhanger in Scream 4 on whether or not she survived her stabbing, and also just for the actor in general, who had taken a 5-year break since the end of Nashville to focus on her mental health. Producer Kevin Williamson revealed that they had wanted the character of Kirby Reed to return for Scream 5, but they couldn't get a hold of Hayden Panettiere as she had completely dropped off the face of the earth and no longer had an agent. As soon as they found her through a string of friends, they invited her on to Scream 6. I'm excited for Kirby to be back, but my god, the wig they made her wear is fucking awful. I never understand why they do that in films. Like, just let her have the blonde hair. After being interviewed by the police and finding out that they are persons of interest in the Jason and Greg murders, Tara and Sam leave the station to a horde of reporters, including our legacy queen, Gale Weathers, one of the most iconic and ridiculous character names in all of film history. And we quickly find out that in that year, in between Scream 5 and Scream 6, things have become a bit frosty between the Carpenter sisters and Gale, with her having written a book on the 2021 murders, even though she promised the sisters she wouldn't. This is also when we find out that Sydney won't be in this film at all, Gale declaring that she deserves her happy ending. The real story behind the scenes as to why Neve Campbell didn't return isn't quite as sweet and sparkly, with the actor having to turn down appearing in the film due to disagreements on her payment. Quote, "As a woman, I have had to work extremely hard in my career to establish my value, especially when it comes to Scream. I felt the offer that was presented to me did not equate to the value I have brought to the franchise. It's been a very difficult decision to move on. To all my Scream fans, I love you. You've always been so incredibly supportive to me. I'm forever grateful to you and to what this franchise has given me over the past 25 years." End quote. Campbell expanded on her statement a few weeks later, saying she could not bear, quote, walking on set and feeling undervalued, end quote, and that the offer would have been different had she been a man. Neve received the support of many actresses that have appeared in the franchise, and I, for one, don't understand how anyone can underpay Sydney fucking Prescott. The whole franchise is about this bitch. Like, idiots. Honestly, it makes absolutely no sense. Although, I will say, Gale being the only legacy character in the film does not bode well for her outcome, especially not after Dewey kicked the bucket in the last film. We head back over to our resident terrible therapist, Dr. Stone, who I think we can all tell at this point is only still hanging around to be another count for James over on Dead Meat. And that proves to be very correct. I didn't mention it earlier, but Dr. Stone is played by Henry Czerny, who is best known in our sphere of horror to have been in The Exorcism of Emily Rose and accompanied my Scream Queen Samara in Ready or Not. After murdering Dr. Stone, Ghostface steals Sam's file and leaves another past mask behind that was used in the Hollywood killings in Scream 3. Ghostface stealing the file is all a part of this weird plot they have throughout the first half of the film to frame Sam for all the killings happening and finally expose her for who she really is or whatever. It's a strange inclusion as it completely falls apart in the next scene and kind of seems like they just decided it didn't really work anymore and so they abandoned it without writing why Ghostface left their whole purpose behind, the ID and the file behind into the plot of the film. Even at the end, they say that's the reasoning and it makes no sense. Anyways, moving on. The gang is all back at Sam and Tara's apartment having bonded moments and cute filler bits, giving us a glimpse into some fledgling romance between Tara and Chad, as well as showing the relationship between Tara and Sam beginning to mend. An extra kind of side member of the crew I haven't mentioned till now because he's kind of the most nothing character in the film is Tara and Sarah's neighbor Danny, who is currently doing something in his kitchen before seeing Ghostface hanging out in Quinn's room, with her being distracted on her phone and unaware he's there, although the angle they used to show this in the room makes it very unlikely she wouldn't have been able to see Ghostface, unless she was like completely blind. We cut back to the rest of the crew as they laugh about hearing Quinn having sex again until Sam sees Danny signaling through the window and the sounds from Quinn's door become a little closer to severe BDSM. Ghostface flings open the door and Quinn's body gets thrown at the group as they all scatter to get away. Apologies for the quotations, but I don't trust anyone in a horror movie that's killed off screen, so let me rephrase that as killed. In the ensuing chaos, Annika gets brutally stabbed in the stomach and is unable to make it over the ladder the group is using to escape over to Danny's apartment without being caught by Ghostface and killed, falling to her death, although with the way she was stabbed, she absolutely should have lost her intestines to gravity at some point. Ghostface again escapes before the cops arrive, leaving the mask behind of the Windsor College killings from Scream 2. Detective Wayne is officially taken off the case due to his daughter's death and him being too close to the case, but still vows to help the crew solve the murders and avenge her death. In the midst of this, he gives a very sus speech about anyone who fucks with his family dies, and I started to side-eye him alongside Quinn's off-screen death. Gale takes the group to the abandoned cinema she found whilst investigating Jason and Greg's murders that has been set up as a sort of shrine to all the previous Ghostface murders. This is a pretty cool set that includes a bunch of flashback items from the various films across the years, including the TV that killed Stu Masha, I actually don't know how to say it, in the first movie, and all of the various Ghostface costumes from throughout the years, including Sam's dad's Billy Loomis. Sam has a strange moment connecting again with her dad, but is brought out of it by Tara being overcome with her position as a continual victim of Ghostface. The sisters come up with a plan to lure Ghostface out of hiding by tracing his phone whilst they're in a public place, and having Kirby on standby to arrest them when they do. Trust me, I know. It's a stupid fucking plan, and Mindy even points that out, but they're trying to fake us, I don't really know. Ghostface is, of course, a step ahead of them and is already over at Gale's place, brewing up a storm. Fun fact, even though Courtney Cox has appeared in every Scream film, up to this point, Gale Weathers has never directly received a phone call from Ghostface. Well, that trend ends here, and she gets her moment to shine. Yet again, is not a great sign for her character's future in the franchise, or in the next 10 minutes, to be honest. Ghostface plays mind games with Gale, tormenting her about Dewey's death before, very quickly, and easily dispatching of her burly background boyfriend and attacking her. Sam and Tara arrive just in time to stop Ghostface from dealing a final blow, but unfortunately not in enough time to stop Gale from her previous stabbings, leading to the death of another legacy character and our final leftover from the original film, Sans Sydney, of course. Kirby comes up with a plan to trap Ghostface in the theatre, as there's apparently only one entrance and exit, and the group agrees, heading over there. At this point, it's relatively obvious that they're going to hit us with a Kirby is the killer fake out, but more on that later. Taking the subway to the theatre, which, let's stop for a second, talk about that. If you're literally being chased down by what appears to be multiple masked killers and they have managed to be one step ahead of you at literally every turn, why in the fuck would you take the subway to your next location? There's a million people, so it's impossible to keep track of anyone, and you're trapped in an isolated location with that person at least until you get to the next stop. It's ridiculous. It's classic horror movie ridiculousness. Anyways, they take the subway, but Ethan and Mindy get separated from the rest of the group and miss the train, taking the next one instead. So fucking stupid. Mindy is suspicious of anyone who isn't the Core Four, the in-universe name for the two sibling duos from the fifth film, so tries to stay away from Ethan, which I understand, but also totally leaves her completely exposed if Ethan's not the killer. As an added layer, it's Halloween night, so everyone on the train is in costume, including various Ghostface costumes. Costume designer Avery Plews estimated she made 200 costumes with 140 extras on set for the subway shoot. About 45 of those extras would change clothing after getting off the recreated train car, then reappear in different costumes on the subway platform. You can see some cool costumes in there like the Babadook and Pennywise. To be honest, it's a great little scene for any horror movie fans, but I still think it was stupid for them to get on the fucking subway. Predictably, but also sadly, Mindy gets stabbed multiple times and is taken out of action for the final scene, although we don't see her die. Ethan calls an ambulance and then it cuts to the rest of the group, although in reality she definitely would have died. She got stabbed like 5 fucking times, but that's a moot point and a theme in this movie. Back with the trio at the theatre, Sam continues having visions of her dad Billy, who is trying to goad her into killing someone, but also is kind of giving good advice of not trusting anyone and picking up a weapon to defend herself in this very tense moment. I can't really tell if they're trying to do the whole using the visions for good thing or if I'm misreading the moment, but either way, these little side visions with her dad seem really forced and random to me in this film, but I'm hoping that the next film kind of brings everything full circle and Sam goes off the deep end or something, because otherwise it's a bit of a fucking waste of time, really. Wayne calls Sam and tells them that Kirby had been fired from the FBI months earlier for being mentally unstable, and they realize that they're locked inside the theater. I was still eyeing Wayne suspiciously at this point, but also Kirby was nowhere to be found, and it would have been pretty badass for Hayden Panettiere to come back to acting after her 5-year break as Ghostface, but also is a terrible message to send people about the effects of complex trauma. 2 Ghostfaces appear, which is kind of the first time we have it confirmed there are 2 of them in this film, but if you're a Scream fan, you would have guessed by now. They do the fun, thing, like the knife, wipe off the blood thing. It's a very good time. They attack Chad and stab him just so many times. To be fair, he and Tara deserved it. Never canoodle at a final showdown. Honestly, they were making out and shit. As Tara and Sam try to escape, Kirby and Wayne arrive, meaning that the front wasn't locked. I don't know. Don't look into it too much. And surprise, surprise, Wayne shoots Kirby and reveals that he's also one of the Ghostfaces. Well, kinda. I don't think he's ever worn the mask, but he's definitely the one orchestrating everything. Wayne admits to organizing the killings with his children, and shock horror, the 2 Ghostfaces reveal themselves to be Ethan and an alive Quinn. I won't lie, the Ethan thing got me. I totally assumed he was in a hospital with Mindy somewhere and had written his existence out of this film at this point, so that was actually a nice surprise. Quinn, I saw it coming a mile away, and the dad, I kind of saw it too. The actors didn't find out they were Ghostfaces until their fittings for that final scene, and they went into their wardrobes and saw the Ghostface costume sitting there. It's kind of a fun way to do it. We find out that way. That's pretty fun. We find out that Wayne's eldest son is Richie, Sam's ex-boyfriend, and the murderer from the first film, and clearly psychopathy runs in the family. Their grand plan is to kill Sam and frame her as Ghostface in honor and memory of Richie, and kind of for revenge. But Wayne goes on a big-ass convoluted monologue, and that's what I got from it, so take it or leave it. Then our final showdown finally begins, and it's pretty good, if not just a tad long. The most notable moments are Sam letting Tara fight her own battles, literally resulting in Tara stabbing and taking out Ethan and Sam killing Quinn in a struggle. Then Sam dons her dad's Ghostface costume for literally no good reason, but it was kind of fun, and stabs Wayne to death. Our compulsory zombie moment comes from Ethan, who gasps back to life before being killed by the TV that had allegedly done the same to Stu so many years earlier. We switch to outside, and somehow Mindy and Chad are alive, and Mindy is like running over to them being like, oh my god, are you guys okay? Like, let me remind you that literally an hour ago she was stabbed 5 times. There is no world in which she's been discharged from the hospital, let alone in which she can move like 1 step. And also, sorry, I didn't mention, but at some point Kirby got stabbed in the same place she was stabbed in the 4th movie, but she lives as well. Chad is going to the hospital, but is fine and dandy, and we get one final scene of Sam seeing the reflection of her dad in a puddle, but Tara pulling her away, signifying to us that as long as Tara's around, Sam won't become a deranged psycho killer. And that's Scream 6. Definitely the best thing to come out of the franchise in a very long time. I now have limited high hopes for the 7th. It's always hit and miss with Scream films, so I don't want to jinx it, but Scream 6 was a veritable good time, and I would like to give credit where credit is due. Jenna Ortega is on a meteoric rise at the moment, so hopefully they can still afford her for the 7th one when it comes around, since they don't pay their women. So far, it's grossed over $140 million worldwide against a $35 million budget, so I doubt these films are going to slow down anytime soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I also hope you enjoyed Scream 6. Let me know what you guys thought of the latest installment in the the Scream series down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're into what you just watched. Next week, we're going to be going into fan theories on Jordan Peele's upcoming 4th film, as the announcement for that film officially came hot off the press last weekend. Peele always likes to keep his plots pretty close to his chest, so most of this will be speculation, but it will also be a lot of fun. And I really thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Mwah! Bye-bye!